sits uneasily in his body for the rest of his life. He is never quite adjusted because he has never fulfilled himself and has substituted false fulfillments for the impulses and instincts that he brought with him. Not being truly adjusted to the profession he may accept, he will not be a great success even in that. And not being a success in anything, he finds it becomes a great fatiguing factor. Out of this comes a common occurrence which we all have a tendency to notice, and that is the desperate interest with which we look forward to retirement. We believe that when retirement comes, we can get out of the job we never wanted to be in. But how could we help ourselves with children to educate, with parents to protect, with grandchildren to bless, and all kinds of responsibilities of government, taxation, and economic stress? Therefore, at 65, we assume that we are going to have release. Another way in which we get the assumption is when we get the first million. If we get the first million, we're sure then we can live as we want to. And then the pressures start and are much worse than they were before. So that nothing seems to work out. The individual who doesn't do what he wants to do is in trouble. The individual who sacrifices his ideals for profit is in trouble. And both look forward to retirement. So they retire at 65 so they can live their own lives. And what have they got? Nothing. They have no life. Certainly they don't want to go on with the professions that they didn't like while they were working with them. They have no other vital interests, so they settle down to the quiet contemplation of impossible television. Or they go someplace and try to do a little charity work as a sort of soul repentance for a life of self-centeredness. Many of these people are good people, but again, the ability to release from within has been destroyed. Now, when you start releasing from within, however, you do run against problems. You run against the fact that these releases must be natural, gentle, and suitable to our need. We cannot afford to have karma dumped on us too fast either, because we may not be able to carry it. Karma consists primarily of unfinished business. And for the average human being, unfinished business is character building. It is the process of growing, and this is something that is not finished, and we may not even maintain during the one lifetime that we are here now. So therefore, when this kind of situation develops, we find that it is best to have this karma move in on us with a certain amount of pattern, which we can react to, by which we can learn something, by which we can accept a lesson as being valuable to us. But if under tremendous mental or emotional pressure a karmic load is discharged too rapidly, the individual simply becomes sick. And the sickness is usually in the form of some kind of mental, emotional activism, an antisocial reaction, a reaction of destruction, pressure, and tension. Now, everyone is capable of a bad disposition, but a great many people have learned not to have it because they've done something about it. Now, if we take a person who has a bad so-called daily existence, and we take this person into retirement, we're going to find that this bad disposition begins to move and work. Then we will find the lack of proper activity, mental and emotional, results in what might be termed senility. Where there's nothing inside, the individual simply weakens. Where there is something inside that is bad, the older person becomes more difficult. Where if there is something inside that is good and the mind is no longer interfering, then the individual is a pleasant in person and may have a rather quiet, enjoyable old age. All these things relate to the development and release of the psychic potential of the person. Actually, therefore, we have to begin to recognize that the individual who goes out and gets drunk for the first time is telling us a story of a pattern, a fulfillment sought in the wrong way, an inability to cope with self, and a desperate effort to escape self, to forget that we exist, to pass finally into a kind of a genteel coma. But on the way to this coma, something happens. The individual, partly intoxicated, may become violent, may attack his family, may become a criminal, may do all kinds of disreputable things which he would never do if he was sober. And that release of the so-called negative side of life, when the pressure of the public opinion is removed, the half-drunk person is very much likely to be similar in many ways to the individual under narcotics. The half-intoxicated person is unable to control his own drinking and has a series of delusions, probably including delirium tremens. And the drug addict also passes through all kinds of moods, some of them over-exhilarated, some of them definitely destructive. The individual, having lost control of himself,